Hi, Angie. Good evening.
Hello, Auntie Yvonne. Good evening. How are you
Good.
doing?
Very, very well. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. It's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't had time to, go over our conversation on New Year resolution. I thought, a lot has gone on, and it will be very, very useful to
Mm-hmm.
begin to evaluate our whole discussion on New Year resolutions, and
Yeah.
also to help, so many other people out there who may be going through whatever, they put on paper and not too sure about what's going on, whether to go back or move forward or go sideways.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, that's why we are here.
Yeah.
I don't know what you have to say about that.
It's been a long year. It's been like 3 years in one, and we're just in September, but it's been a very, very long year. At least for me. I don't know about for everybody else because it seems like everybody else's life went back to normal. And here everything was just like very, very uncertain, and things are still very uncertain.
Yeah,
There's a new COVID variant like every 2 weeks.
right.
There's potential for lockdown whenever they want. So it's been a long year. I don't know about for you
Uh,
what it's been like, but it's been a very long year for me.
yeah, I think it's been a long year as well. And one major life event. So I lost my dad, which,
Sorry to hear
kind
about
of,
that.
I mean, messed up my whole New Year resolution as well.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot all pumped up, just waiting to um take up the year and explore and navigate and I mean take the giant strides and all. I mean, suddenly I had to quell back and do a bit of reevaluation and grieving and all that. So it's been a long year as well. And
Yeah.
I think the good news here related to COVID is that so we have the vaccines coming in, and so we are getting more and more people vaccinated. I think that's the good news. And it seems that the preconceptions and the myth about the COVID virus and all that. I mean, people are gradually beginning to think about mental health in this whole COVID
Mhm.
era. And I think they are beginning to take that giant, stance, which says that we'll brave the odds and, get vaccinated anyway. And I think that's good news from this side, essentially. So, Angie, I mean, going straight to the point, I've had a few people, come over to talk about how stagnated, I mean, they feel. And so I feel
Mhm.
that it will be important to do a quick review on the year's resolutions. I don't want to say new year because I mean, we are literally closing the year up, but I
Yeah.
mean, essentially a review and what you think in terms of mental health may be relevant for such persons and how they
Yeah.
can, take the stop and begin to look forward in a more proactive way. What will be the critical mental health indicators for, anyone who is struggling through New Year resolutions or 2021 resolutions and seem a bit anxious, uncertain. It's actually having panics, around how the year is ending and feeling a bit lost.
Mhm.
What would be some of the mental health indicators for such, an individual?
Not believe in New Year resolutions. I have
Right.
told you that before. So my stance hasn't changed.
Right.
I am of the view that every new day to start something,
Right.
even if you weren't able to finish it the day before or you plan for it the month before.
Right.
Every day you are able to open your eyes. Of course, that's not to rubbish continuity and the fact that people need to be consistent.
Right.
But the idea of New Year resolutions, it can be quite restraining. And if you sort of set expectations for yourself that begin to feel like you have failed. So right from the beginning, I think the first thing to say is, if your year has been hard, give yourself grace. It's not about comparing yourself to other people and seeing how far they have come and what has happened in their life. You are your own person and that you are unique. It's been a very long year for everybody. And regardless of how many plans you put in place or what you decided to do or what you said you were going to stop doing, there are many, many factors that may have come into place to derail your plans. That does not mean that you are failed. It does not mean that you are less of the person that you were when you made those plans. It does not mean that you can't get back up and, jump back on the wagon and try to get things moving. So, to put that out there, you have not failed. You are not lost. Sometimes it's okay to be stagnant or to be stuck in a place where you don't know where to go. That way you are able to reevaluate things a little better and see what worked, see what didn't work, see what stood in your way and try to move forward after that. It's not always the same for everybody. And I think every single one of us must be able to appreciate the privilege that we have over other people. Sometimes I think when we see other people talk about, I was not able to meet my New Year resolutions, and you are halfway through the year and you've ticked all your boxes, you're like, yeah, I'm persistent, I'm strong, I have everything figured out. But think about your privilege and think about the kind of resources that you already have in place that made it possible for you to get to where you are. The person may not have had the same advantages. So it's important to be cautious of how you sort of talk about people's ability to be able to reach their New Year resolutions. But I digress. The question was about mental health indications. But basically, you talked about stagnation. You talked about the fear and anxiety and the worry and the crippling concern that people have that, I mean, it's September and I haven't really done anything with my life. I would like to remind everybody that the whole entire world, the entire planet is in a state of recovery and uncertainty. So you are not alone. And as much as you'd be, I mean, there's extreme sadness and depression and you are anxious about the future, you are not alone. The whole world is recovering from COVID, okay? So stagnation, at this point, I don't think feels too strange or feels too difficult. Not difficult, but it shouldn't feel like you are an outlier and everybody else is moving on with their life and figuring things out, and it's just you that is on the outskirts of things. I don't think that's how it should be, because the entire world is recovering. So when we talk about psychological indications, I think everybody's feeling some sort of uncertainty or anxiety about what's next. Here in the UK, every single day or every time you travel or go somewhere, you're worried about if there's going to be lockdown, if they are going to throw you into tier 4, tier 5, or you're going to be red, or there's nothing is for sure anymore. And I think that these feelings of anxiety and uncertainty that people are feeling are valid, because it's sort of like everybody's trying to realign their purpose, realign their plans. So the biggest indication for anybody now will be anxiety for the future. And it's totally okay to be there. I'm there. I'm sure Yvonne is there.
Right. Right. Angie, I'm very happy you talked about, self-comparison, and in relation to that, you also, put bits and pieces around, managing the anxiety, the global, anxiety about this whole COVID experience as well. And I think that social media has a role to play as well, even in terms of, managing, the seeming expressions of how other people are, going around with their resolutions as well. And, there's one bit of it that will not have anyone, post, negativity. And, there's that flash of flamboyance and, that bit of a lifestyle and all that. Going forward, in terms of mental health, social media, and, managing that processing, mental and behavioral processing of that implication, how do we get across, in such a way that, people begin to appreciate the disparity between that representation and what exists in reality. I don't know if I make sense.
You do. Social media is basically designed to feed your psychology and feed the things that you like. I don't know if you've watched The Social Dilemma, but I was watching it yesterday, and as a psychologist, everything made so much sense to me because it's behavior modification, and everything that is counts on your feed, counts on your timeline, is designed to keep you hooked on it and keep you looking and keep you comparing and keep you. It's designed like that, and it's machine learning and it's designed like that. But I think it's always important, as I said, to understand your privilege and understand the resources that are available to you. In the last 9 months, what have been your circumstances and what has your situation been? Be it financially, psychologically, emotionally, in terms of your physical health. What has been mental health? A lot of people are talking about it a lot more because social media has made it possible for people to open up about their mental health struggles, and everybody sees that. Even the ones that have the flashy cars and the flashy houses and the flashy flamboyant life are struggling as well. But of course, it's different when you are crying in a Lamborghini and when you are crying in a Trotsky. So you need to know where you are at and what kind of resources you have available. It's very important to consider that. But a lot of things we see on social media are not real, or are not as realistic on the ground possible. And I use all these words mixed up, but it's not that simple. There are so many variables that come into play, and you have to think of yourself as an individual outside of what Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn is saying. If you go on LinkedIn, for instance, right now, man, you feel like you're not doing anything with your life. Because people, I saw a meme today that said if you go on LinkedIn, people have 3 PhDs, 5 MAs, they have opened 3 NGOs, and they are feeding 5,000 people. Yo, it's different. That one story is not a full depiction of their life, and it's not a way to compare yourself as to how far you have come. I do it, and I'm not saying I'm a saint for comparing myself. I go on LinkedIn and I'm like, hey, what am I doing with my life? People are really doing things, and I know that I'm working, but it gives you that inferiority complex of there's so much more I can do, and there's people are making big changes in the world. Let's listen, LinkedIn, man, I'm not even going to start going there. It's another whole pressure zone. Instagram and the rest, just LinkedIn is on a different level, totally. But back to my SWOT analysis. What
Right.
do you have in your space? What do you have in your circle? When you look around you, what is available to you? How have you made use of those things over this period of time? How have you made use of your strengths? How have you tried to improve your weaknesses or improve upon your weaknesses, making
Right.
use of the opportunities that you have available to you,
Right.
and understanding the threats that are there?
Right.
Okay. And one huge threat here is self-comparison. And it's one thing that can weaken your resolve when it comes to delivering your New Year resolutions or getting things done or ticking things off the box. But I think it's important to reflect. A lot of the time we are not aware of how much work and how much effort we have put in. Listen, basically waking up every morning when you are depressed and you are anxious and you are tired and you are frustrated in hot Accra or rainy whatever part of the world you are in,
Right.
or cold whatever part of the world you are in itself is strength. And if
Right.
you don't begin to see it as that, you continue to compare yourself to others and say, I'm not doing enough, and I haven't
Right.
achieved this, and I haven't achieved that, and I haven't been here and been that there, you know. So give yourself some grace.
Right.
Give yourself a lot of grace because you
Right.
deserve it. It's been a long year.
Right. 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 And thank you so much for that submission. I wanted to find out from you. I mean, we talk about the year's resolution, and we also look at what we also call the false hope syndrome. I mean, the reality of taking time to note the checklist, like you rightly said, the SWOT analysis. Look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats, and all that. I mean, in relation to that, how do we begin to prime people in such a way that they understand the essence of prioritizing their mental health in all this? You know, it's like literally taking the card on mental health and waving it so high and just insisting that, look, it doesn't matter what's happening. I mean, once there's life, there's hope, and there's also an opportunity to re-engage whatever plans or intuitions or, you know, zeal and passion that you have towards whatever it is. How do we begin to re-engage the false hope syndrome in relation to mental health, essentially?
Yeah, with regards to the false hope syndrome, sometimes it's hard to see what's actually in front of you when you're looking at everything through a colored lens.
Right.
I continue to use the analogy of wearing shades. When you're wearing shades, everything looks dark.
Right.
You feel like you're protecting yourself from the sun, fine. But everything else looks dark until you take them off and you see that, okay, things are actually clear in front of you.
Right.
And this is the reality of the ground.
Right.
And when you're in a place of difficulty, that's how you see everything. Okay.
Right.
You see everything as dark. So it doesn't matter how much anybody else tries to convince you that things will get better. When you're in a difficult place, it's hard to see that. And your false hope in this situation will be that everything will just clear up one day. You wake up with some new enthusiasm and new strength and new zeal. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but it never happens like that.
Right.
You have to build up that strength. You have to build up that zeal.
Right.
And it starts first from giving yourself grace and understanding where you're at without giving yourself false hope. I keep saying that when people are in a difficult place, you have to understand that you are functioning at half capacity and you're not functioning at full capacity, and give yourself grace. That's how you understand that my mental health is important. I think when we talk about mental health, we don't really link it to physical health as much.
Right.
It's like if you had a broken leg and you couldn't walk with it, you're going to give your leg time to heal. Right. You as a person will not be functioning at full capacity. If you used to run if you used to jump, if you used to swim, you'll not be able to do any of those things.
Right.
And you wait for your leg to heal. You are going to give your leg 6 weeks. You're not going to put pressure on it. You are going to try as much as possible to just heal it or heal whatever broken bones you have. We should equate that to mental health and see it as that. When you have a broken bone, you don't give yourself false hope that in 2 days I'm going to start running. It doesn't happen like that. You should understand that at this point in time, you are maybe working at half capacity. Your body, your mind, you are just struggling at half capacity, and it's okay. We all have those days where we function at half capacity. And then as you go along and as you build momentum and as you continue to wake up every day and remind yourself that you're not alone, that there's help available. If you need to talk to somebody, there's somebody to talk to. Find support. Remember that you are loved and that you are valued. As you go ahead and continue to remind yourself about these things, you build the momentum to be able to get up and get back into swing with the things that you used to do. You don't just wake up and you're a superwoman. It doesn't happen like that. There's a very fast decline if it happens like that. So give yourself grace. And remember that if you are struggling with a mental health problem, you are functioning at half capacity. And treat it like a broken bone and nurse it like a broken bone.
Right. And give it time to heal as well. And today is World Suicide Prevention Day. Is there a word or two in relation to reevaluating, the year's resolution and not getting to that state? I mean, we've looked at that whole trajectory that actually emphasizes on, avoiding self-comparison. I mean, putting yourself together, not being too distracted about what's going around you. I mean, finding your own peace in this era as well. I mean, innate peace as well. How do we begin to draw an awareness on suicide in a way that, get people conscious, and I mean, move every person from a taken for granted approach to a more realistic one?
With regards to suicide and New Year's resolutions or whatever plans you had for the year, I think it's important to remember that if you made a mistake and you're not where you wanted to be by the end of the year, it's an opportunity to learn. And that's how you must see mistakes, as an opportunity to learn. Of course, everything I'm going to say right now is going to be easier said than done for somebody who is in a position where they feel hopeless and helpless and can't see a way out of anything. Again, looking through the shades analogy. So keep in mind that things do get better, and the way that you are feeling right now will not last forever. I know some people feel like the unhappiness will never go away, or the sense of failure will never go away, but you have not failed. You just learned how to do the thing that you could not do better. And you've learned not to make the mistakes you made anymore. So see it as that. Give yourself grace. Remember that where you want to get to, you will get there eventually with a bit of time and a bit of perseverance. It's not always a good day. And when you are tired, or when you feel like you can't go on, it's okay to just take a break and rest. And just give yourself that time to recuperate and come back to it. The thing will still be waiting for you. It's not going to go anywhere. They say wahala no dey finish. So when you need to take a break, take a break. It's important. A lot of us, young people my age, don't know how to take a break because we are just constantly working and trying to meet something or achieve something or be somewhere or be somebody. It's okay to take a break. If you are having suicidal ideations because you feel like you have not been able to accomplish what you wanted to do at the end of the year, remember that it's been a difficult year. And that you are not alone, that everywhere we are all recovering. So remind yourself that if you are recovering, you're not alone. And you don't need to recover alone as well. When you are having suicidal ideations or feel like you are not able to accomplish you've not been able to accomplish things. You feel like you're a burden to somebody else because everybody else has a problem. And their problem is not the same as yours. So it's okay to share your problem. Some people may not want to listen to it. Find the ones that will listen. There's always that one person that is ready to listen to your problems. There's always that one person that will be there. So look out for that person that will be there, that will support you and encourage you and move with them. Sometimes it's still hard. People are dismissive of suicidal ideations, and it's not a great thing. But if you feel like you see that somebody is acting a bit differently from how they used to, or it's, you know, it's just out of sorts with regards to their behavior, ask the right questions. Ask them, I noticed that things have changed a bit. Is everything okay? Remind them that you are there for them. If you want to talk, I'm available. Let them know that they are not alone. Support people with reaching their New Year's resolutions, because we all need each other. And sometimes it's getting that extra help or extra push or extra motivation from another person. That will help somebody who is struggling to make their next move. No one should have to struggle alone. No one should have to go through that difficult periods alone. And sometimes it may be a big sacrifice for you, but we are almost running out of time. But I'd just like to remind all of us about the story of the crippled guy, or the crippled guy whose 4 friends dug up a whole roof just so that he could meet Jesus and receive his healing. Sometimes we have to be those friends that will carry other people's burdens until they are able to walk again. If you can be that friend to somebody else, do that. It's very important to allow them to know that you are there and that you are available to help them. Sometimes it will take up some of your time, will take up some of your effort, but as you move up, other people move up, and you make space for other people to come up the ladder as well, you know. So yeah, be there for other people and give yourself grace. I think that's all I have.
Angie, thank you so much. Before you go, what would be the one word? I mean, you have, been engaged in mental health promotion for some time now, and especially among the Black community, you've done a lot of work around the space. Before you go, what would be the one word for someone with suicidal ideations? What would be the one word for that person who's experiencing suicidal ideations?
My word would be hope. Hope means that there's still time. Absolutely. There's still something to do. There's still something you have to offer. Even if it's a glimmer of hope, there's still something left to do. So don't give up. Angie,
thank you. Thank you so very much. And I'm most grateful. Very well.
Thanks so much for having me.
I look forward to part 2. So please, as usual. Okay. I'll get in touch.
Yeah, I got
10th October is World Mental Health Day. So please script in your diary, discussion with Yvonne, 10th October, and have me all booked.
No problem.
Thank you so much for your time. God bless you.